It's Monday, so you know what that means. We're live here on another edition of the J Area Wrestling Show. Of course, my name is Jose Ramos Jr., welcoming you back to a stream, back to the J Area, where we discuss all the latest in the headlines that is professional wrestling. Fresh, very fresh, off of a hot weekend of wrestling. We had WWE's latest premium live event, of course, being Clash in Paris, and they followed it up back to back, another event in Paris, France for Monday Night Raw. An earlier showing, of course, but here we are on a late night stream here with you all. I want to give people an opportunity to join in on the stream, so we're going to open up the floor here to anybody who has questions, comments, concerns in the chat. But of course, a lot to get to on this discussion. Of course, I want to give a quick shout out here to LJ, who's back in the chat. Thank you again, my friend, for tuning in and spending your night with us here in the J Area. Sylvia as well, I see you in the chat. Thank you again for stopping by, one of our diehard members here in the J Area. As you can see as well, another member of the Main Event Mafia. Much appreciated and much love on my part towards you, so thank you very much. But obviously, the big story at hand has to be what is transpiring between mortal enemies CM Punk and the World Heavyweight Champion Seth freaking Rollins. A tale as old as time. These guys have been going at it for the better part of a decade. Really, you go all the way back to 2012 when The Shield, when it was Dean Ambrose, now known as Jon Moxley, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins all teamed up to help essentially ensure that CM Punk would retain the WWE title. Moving forward, we can see how that relationship has evolved on a personal and professional standpoint. CM Punk, of course, took some time away from professional wrestling. It was 10 years that we did not see him in a WWE ring. Now, granted, it was about 7 years since he was in a professional wrestling ring because he would join AEW. That's a discussion for another time. Shout out to Reese here in the chat. Says, what's up, Jose? What's going on, buddy? Appreciate you being here in the stream with us. Talking about Monday Night Raw, talking about Punk, talking about Rollins. And when we saw at Clash in Paris, for those who weren't able to attend the live stream following Clash in Paris, we had a detailed discussion about the final image of Clash in Paris being that it was Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins standing tall over CM Punk, who is in kind of dire need of a tag team partner. The question, of course, would be, is this the sign? Is this the catalyst for a return by AJ Lee? Now, that's a discussion of itself. We have seen plenty of interviews, seen plenty of sound bites. I've heard plenty of them, that it is not entirely a main concern of AJ Lee. I feel like, at least from an outsider looking in, she's kind of accomplished everything she wanted to do, so she doesn't necessarily need to come back to professional wrestling. But the greatest saying in all of pro wrestling, of course, is never say never. There was a time where I gave up hope for CM Punk returning because I thought this guy would never come back to the WWE, the place that essentially caused him a lot of grief, a lot of emotional baggage, and certainly, to an extent, it got rid of the love of professional wrestling for CM Punk. But if he is able to overlook all that and come back, I mean, AJ Lee, it just seems perfect, right? It just seems perfect. We saw in the promo today, Seth Rollins, of course, we were waiting his arrival. CM Punk was waiting his arrival, and then Adam Pearce lets him know, hey, he's in the building. And Punk is saying, well, how did he get in the building? So Punk goes straight to the ring to address the world's champion. And who comes out? I tell you what, it wasn't Seth Rollins. It was his better half, Becky Lynch, the reigning and defending Intercontinental Champion. And they have a face-off here. And it was not on my bingo card to see Becky Lynch and CM Punk deliver a hell of a promo in the middle of the ring. A quick side note, I do think it's a little bit of an early contender for the segment of the week, the Gift of Gab, that we do every weekend. Don't want to get ahead of myself because it's just the first show of the week. But I really enjoyed the back and forth between Becky and Punk. Not too many times do we see a female competitor and a male competitor go head-to-head on the microphone, especially when it was something that cut this deep. Becky Lynch opens up with the promo saying that, hey, you know, you leaving this company didn't just affect her husband, Seth Rollins, it affected her as well. For 10 long years, the WWE audience would chant for CM Punk. Whenever there was a segment that they had no interest in, whether there was a moment in time where they were not agreeing with the direction of creative, they resorted to these chants of CM Punk as a way to essentially hijack these shows. And Becky Lynch says that you do realize for the early parts of my career, they chanted for your name. They chanted for you rather than pay attention to the work that I was putting in. While you were at home, staying away from this business, they were putting in the work. And they still chanted your name. Take away all the instances that we've seen CM Punk and Seth Rollins deliver these, vicious verbal attacks to one another. It's personal to Becky because one, Punk has been at odds with her husband for a long time. Forever at this point. Immortal enemies. But then on top of that, while she was climbing the ranks of the division, becoming the man, main eventing WrestleMania, there was always that segment of the audience that was too focused on cheering for CM Punk, who was not even a member of that roster. So to her, it's personal. It's her personal. And I love that because now you're adding a level of credibility to the hatred that is felt between Becky and Seth towards CM Punk. It's no longer just a wrestling program of who's trying to be the best in the world. Instead, it is these two individuals, Seth and Punk, combating one another for what they believe is the direction of the company. In Seth Rollins' mind, CM Punk is going to take this company backwards, while Seth Rollins plans on leading it to the future. He has a vision of what this company should be. And in his vision, he does not believe that CM Punk is a fit piece of it. And then for Becky Lynch, for her, it is validation that she has earned her spot in the company without the help of anybody else, without the help of any other man for that being. And then we see this moment where Punk is increasingly getting angry. He's frustrated. He wants nothing to do with Becky Lynch. He understands. Punk is, he's been around the block for a bit here. He understands where this is going. He does not want to include Becky Lynch. It is only between Seth Rollins and CM Punk, but Seth Rollins doesn't come out till much later, essentially hiding behind his wife, the Intercontinental Champion, and CM Punk wants to get past her, wants to get out of the ropes, wants to get down the ramp, and wants his hands on the Visionary, but Becky doesn't allow that. So it opens up the door for Seth Rollins to just leave. He doesn't care. He doesn't have to be there. He understands that he has the high ground. He's the champ. He runs the place right now. And Punk is the one that is on the offensive. Doesn't have to listen to Punk's rules. Doesn't have to listen to his regulations. And so Becky Lynch now is left in the ring with CM Punk. And again, continues to berate him. Not without the participation of the audience, who continue to cheer for AJ Lee. They were very vocal, chanting AJ Lee throughout the course of this segment. Becky Lynch even acknowledges it and says she doesn't even work here anymore. Punk even looks at the crowd and recognizes, okay, I get it. Punk is in on it now. And it gets physical. Becky Lynch then delivers several slaps to the face of CM Punk. Several of those were pretty stiff. You can tell by the way that his head would turn and his jaw got jacked there by Becky Lynch. Solid hits there by Becky. And CM Punk just took it. Because he recognizes, hey, he can't put his hands on Becky. He doesn't want to take that personal of a turn. But he tells Becky that I'm going to prove to your husband why he doesn't want to mess with me. And he assures Becky Lynch, you're going to regret putting your hands on me. And fuming. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen CM Punk this irate. He may not have been screaming. He may not have been throwing things across the ring, but you can tell his blood was boiling. He was getting ready to explode. So we head to the back with a commercial break in between. And CM Punk encounters the general manager of Monday Night Raw, Adam Pearce. And he wants CM Punk, or he wants Seth Rollins, rather. And Pearce tells him he's not here anymore. They've left. And he said, where are they going? And Adam Pearce says, I don't know. They went that way. So Punk now has lost an opportunity for retaliation against Rollins. And he asks Adam Pearce, where's SmackDown going to be this week? And Adam Pearce, of course, replies with the answer, we're in Chicago. And Punk, with ever so much of a clever, devious smile, says tremendous. Says tremendous because Chicago, the hometown of the Second City Saint, that is CM Punk, and also, I would like to believe that there is someone else in the family of Phil Brooks that resides in Chicago. They may not have really given it away that an AJ Lee return is on the horizon, but it has all the makings of a monumental moment here to have AJ Lee return. There was a moment prior to CM Punk entering the ring where he's backstage and he's talking to Rhea Ripley. He's talking with Rhea Ripley and she wishes him good luck with what's going on here. And I feel like that might have been a red herring. It might have been a red herring. It might have been an example of a clue that was included to throw the audience off, because I'm going to tell you right now, if it's not AJ Lee, it makes sense to just throw in Rhea Ripley. Maybe even Nikki Bella because of their feud right now. But I think they would be setting themselves up for failure if you were to include this type of tension, increase the level of anticipation just to have someone like Nikki Bella. I think that's a huge mistake. They would be missing the mark monumentally. And yeah, you can plug in Rhea Ripley. She's a main attraction. She's a superstar. To have her team up with CM Punk against the power couple of the Visions, Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, not a bad alternative, but it's not AJ. And I think I can speak for everybody when I say we want to see AJ. Her and CM Punk in a WWE ring for the first time in over a decade. It would do big business for the WWE. WrestlePalooza looks to be the first premium live event on that ESPN direct-to-consumer app, so they're going to want to go all out. That's why they have Brock Lesnar taking on John Cena. It's unofficial, but it's on the docket. That's why they're probably going to have Cody Rhodes defend the WWE title against Drew McIntyre, a big money matchup, if I've ever seen one. And you want to cap that off with the return of AJ Lee. It just makes all the sense in the world. It really does. I think it would be a missed opportunity if they do not pull the trigger. And if they have somehow managed to, incite and encourage AJ to make a return here, I would love to see where this can go. I personally think if she does come back, I personally think it's a one-off. I don't see her being a member of the roster, having a part-time schedule. I don't see that at all. I think it's a one-off, maybe a potential Royal Rumble appearance. Aside from that, though, I think we're not going to see AJ Lee on a consistent basis if she comes back. But still, it was one of my favorite segments of the show. Becky, Punk, Rollins, three of the top stars in the company right now, knowing what it is to do in terms of building up a story and building up a matchup here. So we'll have to wait for Friday Night SmackDown in Chicago to see whether or not AJ Lee has made her monumental return. I won't hold my breath. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm about 60% sure that she comes. I'm going 60% that she makes that return. Let's go back to the chat here. I want to see who is live with us. Robert says, to quote Dusty Rhodes about Ole Anderson, it will never be over. It will never be over between Rollins and Punk, and I'm okay with that. There are some segments of the audience who are kind of over it, that it's been going on for too long. But me, I'm coming from an age where I loved watching Shawn Michaels and Triple H battle years. Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio, watching them do battle over years. I would not be mad at Rollins and Punk doing this for years. I'm a fan of both individuals. I love the story that they have been crafting over the course of this decade, essentially. So I'm not at all upset that we're doing this long-term build. Muhammad's in the chat. How you doing, Muhammad? I'm glad to see that you're here with us. Appreciate you supporting the channel and coming out to another live stream. Hopefully you're doing well on this Labor Day. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I would love to hear what you have to think about the AJ Lee news, or the lack thereof, I suppose. There's nothing concrete just yet, but having her return would be such a monumental thing for the company and for me personally. I'm a big fan of AJ Lee, a big fan of CM Punk, so I would love to see that as well. Sanford says, Sanford 5 says, Jose, your Bret Hart figure fell. Don't do this. You can't get me. No matter how hard you try, buddy. Try harder. Alex, what's going on? Back in the chat says, I felt those slaps from Becky. Can't wait to see AJ Lee. It was pretty good. Some of them didn't land, but most of them were pretty good slaps. Becky Lynch really gave it to CM Punk there, and CM Punk, man, he took it. He took it like a champ. LJ says that's a clue of AJ Lee. I do believe that it's a really good shot here that AJ makes a return. I would love to see it. I would love to hear that music one more time and see her side by side with CM Punk. Man, that'd be crazy. It'd be wild to see, but I would love to see it. And imagine in Chicago the ovation that those two would get. Those two are like wrestling royalty in Chicago, so it would be an awesome moment. Kevin's back in the chat. What's going on, Kevin? Kevin says, I need my girl Kelly Kelly to make a comeback. I'm thinking Royal Rumble. You know, usually that's the spot where they have those type of legends come back. But I feel like Kelly Kelly has already made a couple of returns. I don't think she'll necessarily need to come back for a while. But love Kelly Kelly growing up too. Reese says couple versus couple. That's the plan, right? I think that's the obvious move to make. You know, Rollins and Lynch versus Punk and AJ. That would be a great setup, I think, for WrestlePalooza. Kevin says, let's see. Who are the current champs? Fill me in to what I missed. Well, the World Heavyweight Champion, of course, is Seth Rollins. On Monday Night Raw, the Intercontinental Champion, still Dominic Mysterio, who successfully retained against AJ Styles in what I thought was a great matchup here. Of course, we are in Paris, France, so the crowd was very pro AJ Styles, singing the chants. I mean, they're firmly behind AJ. I saw a tweet that said, Piper in Portland, Bret Hart in Canada, Punk in Chicago, AJ Styles in France. Always a hot crowd when they see AJ. A great matchup, but Dominic retained. Okay, the women's world champion right now is vacant. We don't have a champion at this time and place, but we will see at WrestlePalooza Io Sky versus Stephanie Vaquer. Super excited for that. That's going to be a banger of a matchup. And also, I would like to point out to you guys in the chat, I called it. I've been saying it for weeks on end. Io versus Stephanie was the right move. It makes the perfect sense. Both individuals were in line for world championship opportunities against Naomi, but being that Naomi is going to be too preoccupied with a pregnancy, congratulations. We have an open championship here, and Io versus Stephanie. It's certainly going to be a barn burner. Can't wait for that. Tag team champions on Raw, still the Judgment Day. The women's Intercontinental Champion is Becky Lynch. The women's tag team champions at the moment are still Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. Over on SmackDown, we have the WWE Champion Cody, the U.S. Champion Sami Zayn, recently won on Friday Night SmackDown, the Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton, the U.S. Champion Julia, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, of course, the Wyatt Six. So a lot of parity there when it comes to the championships. Kevin says AJ Lee's prime was cut short because why did she leave? So when it came about the AJ Lee retirement, again, from my understanding, she had accomplished everything she wanted to do. Accompanied with that, CM Punk had just left. There may have been a little bit of tension between the offense and Punk, and obviously AJ is married to Punk, so there might have been tension there, and she just didn't want that issue. We do know that AJ Lee is a strong advocate for mental health, so there probably is a group of reasonings as to why she decided to retire. It is well in her right to determine when she wants to hang up the boots, and she did very early into her career. She did not, have a lengthy career like many of the wrestlers that we've seen, but really, when it comes to the women, what's the longest reigning career? I think Natalya might have it. I'm just super excited that there's a potential for her to return, and I can't wait to see what transpires. Shout out to Gianna Forever for the super chat, one of our big supporters here on the channel. This would not be possible without the support of you guys, and I want to give a major shout out to Gianna Forever. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for the super chat. I would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the current aspect of an AJ Lee return? What matches are you looking forward to at WrestlePalooza? What'd you think of Clash in Paris? I would love to hear from you, Gianna Forever. Thank you so much again for the super chat. All love. All love. Kevin also says the stories I've heard about Paige backstage. Yeah, you know what? It's well documented that Paige has been on the wild side when she was younger, but to be fair, I mean, hey, everyone has those phases, right? At the moment right now, I'm kind of in the feel of reading again. It's been a minute since I've read, some of my autobiographies, some of my biographies, and I recently had purchased the a couple of wrestling autobiographies. I got AJ Lee's because I haven't read it, Becky Lynch, and Jim Ross. So I'm very much looking forward to those books. I'm going to be reading them and again looking forward to them, learning something new. I know that Paige, aka Soraya, also has an autobiography. Karrion Kross has his own. So I'm looking to get back into reading and seeing these autobiographies and learning a little bit more about the real people behind the characters. Yeah, AJ Styles, Nikki Bella. Punk's been saying Liv is the MVP. Punk and Liv. I don't think so, Robert. I just feel like in terms of the narrative, it doesn't fit because she's associated with the Judgment Day, but also because she's out with injury. She has that shoulder injury. More likely will not be returning until maybe December or January. So I would rule out Liv Morgan. And also, to me, it doesn't make sense. I think. What's Liv's beef with Becky Lynch at the moment? Plus, it's a heel on heel. He would side with a baby face, I think. Not a bad idea to pair them up, but I just think logistically and injury wise, it's not working out. It's not lining up in the timeline here. Kevin says couple wise, we are sleeping on Edge and Beth Phoenix. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Adam Copeland, Edge, Beth Phoenix, two of the best to ever do it in their respective divisions. Beth Phoenix, who was during a time where the women's division was kind of at a low point. They were the Divas division. They were only getting, 5 to 7 minutes per match, and that's including entrances. But Beth Phoenix managed to carve out a legacy of her own, demonstrating that it wasn't just relegated to the Divas division for the, lack of a better phrase, but just being a pretty face. But she could actually go in the ring. Beth Phoenix, I think, is certainly warranted to be in the Hall of Fame. That's why she is. But her and Edge as a power couple, a great pairing. Gianna Forever says that we will get the Usos versus Braun and Reed. I love it. I'm super down for that. Whenever it's Jimmy and Jay, and Gianna Forever recommends that it's at WrestlePalooza. I think that's a great point here. I think logistically and logically it makes sense to have it at WrestlePalooza. I would always love to look for an Uso matchup. So Jimmy and Jay back together against Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Sign me up. Sign me up. LJ says Yeet Yeet and No Yeet is back. I love it, man. They're one of the greatest tag teams in WWE history. I can't wait. I can't wait. It's great to see the brothers back together, by the way. They have always been much more entertaining together than they were, fighting against one another. But yeah, and that's one thing too. We were talking about Punk and Becky and Seth's segment, but the main event of the night, of course, LA Knight and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, and now we see that attack on Jey Uso. They absolutely decimate him, and who comes out? His brother Jimmy, basically signifying a return to the Usos. I'm very much looking forward to it. We know that Roman Reigns is going to be out for a minute here, presumably to finish filming Street Fighter. It's the same reason why Cody's been out for a second now. But having Jimmy and Jay together, it just feels right. It just feels right. Jimmy and Jay, there can be a legitimate argument that Jimmy and Jey Uso are one of, if not, the best tag team in WWE history. They have a long lineage of those before them that applied enough pressure onto them that would ensure that these guys were going to be somebody. Jimmy and Jay, a big piece of the Bloodline saga, also managing to carve out their own legacy as single stars for a bit there, but having classic matches against the individuals like the New Day. I mean, their feud back in 2017 lit the world on fire, and it really helped put SmackDown Live on the map. I thought it was one of the best tag team feuds of any generation. So to see them now back together in a potential matchup against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, reigniting the Usos, I love it. Absolutely am down for it. Robert says, where's Gunther? Gunther, as we know, has been nursing an injury. He's been gone since SummerSlam, having lost that World Championship to CM Punk. I don't know how long he's going to be gone. I don't know if it has any reports have been released, but Gunther at the moment is nursing an injury. I don't recall if it was an orbital injury. I think it might have been something on his face, but he's currently out recuperating. We'll see when he comes back, and whenever he does, he'll certainly go after that World Championship another time. Will Savage says, hello, Jose. I am back. Glad to have you back, buddy. What'd you think of Clash in Paris? What'd you think of Monday Night Raw? Go ahead and make sure to sound off in the chat today, my friend. I'm glad to see you back. San Fran, back in the chat, says, Jose, we all know Festus and Jesse are the best tag team. Hey, I will give you this, though. They had a hell of a theme song. Let us know in the chat if you guys remember Jesse and Festus. What a tag team. Luke Gallows before he was Luke Gallows. Certainly a product of their time during, that, would that be considered Ruthless Aggression or early PG era, if anything. But, yeah, Jesse and Festus, what a trip. What a trip. Also on the night, of course, it was Paris. Paris, France knows how to do it. We recently uploaded a bunch of shorts on YouTube as well as other outlets. As you guys can see on the screen, we're plugging our many social media sites here, trying to branch out and grow the J area into something even greater and more positive to include as many pro wrestling fans as we can. You can find other content on X/Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at JAreaPod_. It's all the same, usernames for all social medias at JAreaPod_, or you can find us at JAreaWrestling, where we upload, videos, shorts. We have other things to look forward to as well. So if you want to support the channel, that's one way to do so. Otherwise, make sure you like the videos, comment, also subscribe in order to participate in these live streams. You can only participate in the chat if you are subscribed to the channel, and even consider becoming a member of the Main Event Mafia, where you'll have exclusive access to videos, polls, and posts throughout the coming weeks. I do have a special video coming out later in the week for our members only list. It'll be me watching and providing my analysis and thoughts on an all-time classic matchup. It'll be the triple threat match that took place at Unbreakable 2005 for the TNA X Division Championship that included Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, and Samoa Joe. A great matchup. I look forward to see what you guys think about my thoughts on that matchup, and maybe it'll even encourage you guys to go and check that matchup if you haven't seen it just yet. That matchup is available on YouTube. If you go on TNA Wrestling's YouTube channel, you can find their Unbreakable 2005 event, and the main event, of course, being the X Division Championship in that three-way. I look forward to hearing from you guys and your thoughts on that video later in the week. LJ says, I have to go to sleep, but I will see you on Friday or Thursday. We'll be going live on Thursday, LJ, so I hope to see you on Thursday's stream. Glad you stopped by. Glad you came out here to hang out with us. Hopefully you have a great night. Hopefully you enjoy the weekend. I look forward to seeing you on Thursday's stream. Kevin says, what's your top 5 Raw episodes, considering Raw has thousands of episodes? Oh, man, Kevin, that's a great one. That's a great question. I will answer that, but I want to take a look at these other chats real quick. Paul London and Brian Kendrick versus Motor City Machine Guns. Sign me up, absolutely. We grew up together watching Paul London and Brian Kendrick, but against the Motor City Machine Guns, now that, chef kiss. I would love to see that. Will the Savage, Kevin says 3MB, which I think is hilarious. 2 out of 3 are champions, by the way. Will the Savages, I did not watch Clash in Paris because I've been more on the AEW side of pro wrestling because of the WWE is getting watered down. Fair. That is a fair assessment. I do try to take advantage of all the wrestling we have and watch as many programs as I can. There's a lot to keep up with, man. AEW is back on the swing of things. WWE, I really enjoy their product. TNA, AAA, man, there's a lot. There's a lot to keep up with. But I'm glad that you're here with us on this chat to make sure that you stay up to date with everything pro wrestling. So I appreciate the support, Will. But to answer Kevin's question here, top 4 Raw episodes. So, of course, in no particular order. In no particular order. A lot of these are probably going to be when I was growing up, not so much all time, because I was either a kid or I wasn't born when they were around. But some of the ones that really stick out to my memory: Raw Homecoming, which was October 3rd, 2005. It was in Dallas, Texas. It was like the first set of weeks that I had the ability to watch Raw. We didn't have the channel. I believe it was Spike TV at the time. So Raw Homecoming 2005, October 3rd, because we saw a long list of legends that appeared. I remember SmackDown started their invasion that led to the Survivor Series 2005. And of course, I love the matchup, the Iron Man match between Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels. That one is a very personal favorite of mine growing up as a kid. So that one will certainly make the list. I would say Raw 1000 for nostalgic purposes. I love the video that they had playing at the beginning of the episode. It was also the day that CM Punk had turned heel and attacked The Rock in the middle of his 434-day title reign. So that one, again, for personal reasons, I love that episode. Another episode that sticks in my mind, again, like you gotta imagine, I'm going through years and years of just memories of pro wrestling. Those are already 2. Shout out to Tyler here in the chat. Tyler, I'm trying to name my 4 favorite episodes of Raw ever. I already named 2. I got the Raw Homecoming in 2005. I'm trying to think of what other one that really sticks out. This one's kind of cheating because I was a baby when it happened, but the original brand extension that happened about a week after WrestleMania 17. It was the first, or excuse me, WrestleMania 18. It was in 2002. I believe it was March 25th, 2002, where they had the draft. It was the night that The Rock went number 1 overall and, went to SmackDown, and it was the draft. So that one would probably be the 3rd choice. And for my 4th and final pick for my favorite episode of Raw, on a somber note, maybe the Eddie Guerrero tribute show. Because Eddie Guerrero was such an influential and inspirational figure in our house. And to see the love and support that they had for Eddie, seeing all the interviews, seeing the promo packages, watching Shawn Michaels versus Rey Mysterio for the first time ever, that one really sticks in my mind. So I would probably say, for those just joining us, my top 4 favorite Monday Night Raw episodes: Raw Homecoming, October 3rd, 2005, the Raw 1000 episode, the brand extension, the first draft, in March 25th of 2002, and the Eddie Guerrero tribute show. Those are probably my top 4 right now. If you want me to rearrange them in order, maybe at number 4, Raw 1000, at number 3, Homecoming, number 2, the draft, number 1, the Eddie Guerrero tribute show. Will Savage says, I only tune into the WWE now. Is Jimmy Uso and Jay, because those 2 are my favorite wrestlers. That is the only time I watch WWE. Hey, if you have the time, I would suggest watching some of CM Punk stuff as well. I mean, Cody, Drew, there's a plethora of talent that I would like you to keep up to date with. But of course, we all have busy schedules, and I understand that, hey, it's a lot of content to consume, so that's why I always say, hey, if you can't keep up with the show there, keep up with the channel here. That way we can keep you up to date with everything that's going on in professional wrestling. But nonetheless, I appreciate Will and Will's questions and comments here in the chat. Rock got huge in recent years. He's not always that big. Well, these recent pictures of The Rock, man, have you guys seen this? Of Dwayne The Rock Johnson kind of slimming down? He looks very reminiscent of like the 2002, 2003 version of The Rock. So, I don't know. Kevin, I never realized how short-lived Batista's career was. Someone who could have easily had many title reigns. I've always thought that Batista and John Cena were going to be Rock and Austin. Like, these guys were neck and neck as to who was going to be the next big star. Batista on the main roster was only there for 8 years, really. And even then, it was a quick 8 years. It doesn't feel like he was there for that long, but he obviously went towards Hollywood, and I think he's doing pretty well. I think he's one of the best wrestlers turned actors. I'm very happy for his success, and we wish him the best going forward. Robert says, why wasn't MVP in England with the Hurt Syndicate at the AEW pay-per-view? I don't know. I did notice that as well, that he wasn't involved in the matchup. I don't know what's going on over in AEW when it comes to MVP. There was rumors of him having heat with Mike Bailey. Of course, we don't know the whole story there because we're not back there, but that was interesting to see him not a part of that. Kevin says, what are your thoughts on the outsiders or coming on outsiders coming into pro wrestling? For instance, outsiders like Floyd, Logan Paul, Jalen Brunson. Who else would you like to see? I think depending on the individual, there are some people who just it fits well. Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather, those guys fit very well. They have the personality, they have the athleticism. To me, it just makes sense. I would like to see. Personally, hey, I'm a little biased. You know who I would like to see more involved? He's a fellow professional wrestling fan. He's actually an athlete himself. He has a little bit of charisma, has the personality, has the presence. Technically, one of his buddies is a wrestler. Technically, you guys should already know who I'm talking about. George Kittle, tight end for the San Francisco 49ers. I know, I'm biased. I'm a Niner fan. But it just makes sense to me. He's had appearances before. He had a run-in at WrestleMania 39 with The Miz. I think it would be a perfect opportunity to have George Kittle be involved in some form or fashion. Penta, who is a very prominent figure in the WWE right now, has a relationship with George Kittle. It's one of his favorite wrestlers at the moment. So I think it would make sense. I would like to see it just during the off season, of course. My boy George has more important work to do, helping the Niners win a Super Bowl. All love to George. Any reason why Raw doesn't show twice on Netflix? I don't know. What do you mean it doesn't show up twice? Because once Raw ends on Netflix, it's still available. The replay is available. So I don't see why they would show it twice. It should stay up there. Tyler says it's crazy that TNA Plus is $9.99 a month and Ring of Honor Club is $9.99 a month and ESPN's is $30 a month. On ESPN, AEW pay-per-views are $50 per pay-per-view. Tyler also says, WWE on ESPN. Okay, so here's the thing. With TNA Plus, it is specifically designated towards TNA Wrestling. Ring of Honor's Honor Club, it is specifically targeted towards wrestling. ESPN is not solely wrestling. There are other sports. There's hockey, there's basketball, there's football, there's boxing, there's gymnastics, there's tennis, there's golf. It is the world's leader in sports. So I can understand why there's an increase in price, because it's not just wrestling. It is a conglomeration of sports into one streaming service. That's why when it was announced that the WWE would now be featured on ESPN for $30 a month, as a pro wrestling fan, that can be frustrating because you don't want to have to pay $30 a month to watch pro wrestling. However, as a sports fan, like yours truly, it doesn't hurt as much because I love watching football. I love watching basketball. I enjoy watching baseball and college football and pro wrestling. So to me, it's like, yeah, $30 kind of sucks to pay. But as a sports fanatic, I kind of do get a good bang for my buck. As a wrestling fan, though, I hear you. $10 is much more appealing than $30. But that's the sense I would make out of it. I just think it's a shame that the WWE Network, man, was perfect. $9.99 a month, and you had all this content at your disposal. We had it so good. Mohammed says, I missed my girl Maxine Dupree and Ivy Nile and Scarlett. Looks fine. No offense to Karrion. All the respect to Karrion Kross, who has a book coming out, and I do want to read it. Shout out to Scarlett and Karrion Kross, who are having good work in GCW along with Shotzi. But Will the Savages plus NFL is coming up. I will not be watching a lot of wrestling because I want to support my favorite team, which I'm a fan of the Cowboys. I'm sorry to hear that, Will. I'm sorry. My condolences, buddy. Micah Parsons, what a trade. What are your thoughts on the Micah Parsons trade there, Will? I would love to hear from you. And I'm giving you grief. I'm a Niner fan. The Cowboys and the Niners. Come on now. Good luck on the season, though. Maybe we'll see you down the line in the playoffs. We'll see. Muhammad says, like it doesn't record or repeat like they did on the USA Network. Well, on Netflix, you don't have to record, and it doesn't really have to repeat it. If it's on Netflix, it's going to be available on Netflix. It's a streaming platform, so at the conclusion of the event, if you look up WWE Raw on Netflix, it should still be there as a replay. So, no need to record it, no need to repeat it. Once it ends, it's still there. It's still there. Plus, I enjoy watching it live. If you have that ability, if you have the time of the day to be able to watch it live, I would recommend it. You don't have to worry about spoilers. You can watch it as it happens, and it's much more exciting that way. It's the one thing I miss about live TV. On SmackDown, I do not watch it live. I watch it like on a 3-hour delay, because I think it airs live on the East Coast, but here on the West Coast, it's on delay. So I have to avoid Twitter and Instagram in order to not spoil what happens on SmackDown or NXT like that. But Raw and Dynamite, both I can watch live, which I enjoy. I enjoy that aspect of pro wrestling. Nothing beats live programming, I will say, whether it is the WWE, AEW, or sports in general, like basketball, football. Live programming is where it's at. Dethroned by Eli back in the chat. What's going on, buddy? Appreciate you coming back. Says, what's up, my guy? Nothing much. How you doing? Glad to see you back, my friend. Hopefully you're doing well. So AJ's coming back. In your opinion, I'm about 60% sure, Eli. I'm so hesitant because I know that she has said in the past that she doesn't need to. She doesn't feel like she has to. She's accomplished everything she wanted to. But still, you never say never in pro wrestling. That's what I love about pro wrestling. You never say never. Never say never. I'm about 60% sure she comes back, though. I think they are setting it up that way. Certainly after this episode of Raw, they set it up that way. So anything short of an AJ Lee return would be a disappointment. If they plug in Rhea Ripley, that's cool. Love Rhea. She's not AJ. If they plug in Nikki because she just had a feud with Becky, that would be a major misstep. That would be tone deaf. If they put Nikki Bella in place of AJ Lee here, that would be a catastrophe. I would absolutely hate that idea. Nothing against Nikki Bella, but it's just because it would make more sense for AJ. I don't get upset very much in pro wrestling because I get the business side of it. But if AJ doesn't return, I am going to be a little bit upset. Like, disappointed is the word I would use. But if they put someone in place like Nikki Bella, I would actually be upset. If it was Rhea, that's fine. Rhea's a star, a mega star. But if you put someone like Nikki Bella, that's just tone deaf. Muhammad says, if you could bring dead legends, which legends would you want to see come back or still alive with us? Eddie Guerrero. By far. If I had to pick one, Eddie Guerrero. Bray Wyatt, I think, would be a great one, too. The Cowboys won this trade, says Will. Because of the Parsons trade, it freed up a lot of money in the salary cap, so now we could pay for more players that need contract extensions. I saw that you guys had extended Bland. One of the defensive backs for the Cowboys. I think that's a solid pickup for you guys. I think Bland is very considerate and consistent member of the roster, so that would make sense to me. I would think that losing someone like Michael Parsons would hurt you on the defense, but like you said, if you're able to free up cap, sign the players that you want to sign, as well as extend the players that you want to extend, it's a move that ideally should help them in the long run. It might hurt now, but in the long run, you would think, it's going to help. So we'll see how the Cowboys season opener seems to be. It'll be Thursday Night Football. Cowboys, Eagles, looking real forward to that. Can't wait. Whenever it's a division rivalry matchup, sign me up. Dion says, what's up with Nikki Bella's rope botch? It was pretty bad, wasn't it? But I feel like it was more of a miscommunication between her and Becky. Becky was a bit of ways from the spot, so I feel like it might have been miscommunications. Tyler says, I heard that she's had mental health problems. Yeah, with AJ Lee, she is a very big advocate of mental health. We know that she's had her own battles with her mental health. And it was between that and just accomplishing everything that she did in pro wrestling, as well as I would think something to do with CM Punk because of the clash between him and the Office. So again, it was a conglomeration of multiple factors that ultimately led to her retirement. But if it's just for a one-off, I would love to see it. Dion says, just getting in. I'm about to watch Raw. Enjoy it. The crowd is fantastic, Dion. I'm glad to see you in the chat. The crowd in France, they're on fire. They're electric. If I had to recommend certain segments to you, Dominic versus AJ and the Becky Seth Rollins thing going on with CM Punk. So, love it. Dethroned by Eli says Dakota Kai would be dope, but she's not that popular. LOL, I love her though. I love Dakota Kai too. It wasn't really over with the general audience, but like for real diehard fans, we love Dakota Kai. Reese says it's AJ because Rhea didn't come out and help Punk with Becky. That's a good point, Reese. That's a solid point. If Rhea had came out and helped Punk, that would be, a very strong indicator that, hey, there's a partnership there. I think also the fact that we're going to be in Chicago for SmackDown and Punk is hinting at something here, that makes me think it is AJ Lee. But I'm one of those guys where it's like, I'll believe it when I see it. But a good call there by Dethroned by Eli. Or by Reese. How about Roxanne Perez? I would love to see Roxanne Perez, but again, narrative-wise, it doesn't make sense. Roxanne's a heel, Punk's a babyface. Roxanne doesn't have heat with Becky. Roxanne has heat with Punk, if anything. We've seen them clash on TV before, so it won't be Roxanne Perez at all. So Robert says, Nikki Bella slamming Becky's face into the table over and over again was so phony. Sanford and I openly laughed at that when we saw it live during the show. Her trying to bounce Becky's face off of the table, that was bad. It looked bad. Oh my god. I'm with you there. Muhammad says, I feel bad for Dakota Kai. Poor Dakota, it's a shame how she keeps getting cursed or sidelined with very unfortunate injuries. Yeah, and then she ended up getting released. It's a shame. I was a fan of Dakota Kai in NXT, a fan of hers during her time with Damage Control, and it just never worked in her favor. And we wish her the best. Hopefully, wherever she ends up now, it works out for her. Good night, Will. Appreciate you stopping by on the stream. Hope to see you on Thursdays live stream. Yeah, Tyler, I totally resonate with that. I feel like it's a very important thing to be able to take care of ourselves, not only physically, but mentally, and knowing our restraints and knowing our limits. That's why I feel like it's very important that we respect everybody's decision when it comes to mental health. It's not a joke. I'm a very strong advocate for it as well. I think mental health is a very vital part of our own community, because there are people out there who are having internal battles that we may not understand or may not be able to help with, but in order to truly lend a helping hand, we can be supportive in their decisions and try to ensure that everybody feels as secure and as safe as possible. So when it comes to like the AJ Lee situation, when she retired and there were hints of it being mental health related, I felt that it was very important that we all were respectful of that, because ultimately that's her call, and I think it takes a lot of courage to make that kind of a move. It's a very selfish move, but a selfish in the way that it's needed. She needed to make that call. She could have easily said, no, people want to see me, or I need to do this for the people, or whatever. But at the end of the day, you need to take care of yourself. And those kind of moves, those kind of decisions are necessary. And I'm glad that she had that type of strength to step away when she did. If she is ready to come back and it's a one-off matchup, great, fantastic. If she's not, because she still feels like she's not there, then we must respect that, I believe. Dethroned by Eli says, I agree, Muhammad. I really think she's gotten robbed not winning the IC title. I was of the mindset that she should have been the inaugural IC champion. I think that would have been really good. You guys go on the list of yeah, that's an important list there. Ashley Massaro, Chris Benoit, Cora Jade, all great examples there. Dethroned by Eli says, Jose, I got a good question for you. Let's see. Who is someone you don't think you would like personally? Like, he seems hard to work with, or just seems like a douche from what you've seen. Oh, man. On the roster right now, I'd have to think about. But I feel like, of all time, Ryback, I just never got good vibes from Ryback, and the fact that those Punk stories came out, or his podcast, or the YouTube clips, that's certainly somebody that I don't think I would get along with. As for someone currently on the roster, hmm, hmm, I don't know. I think everybody's been pretty cool. At least it appears that way. One guy I would be skeptical about is Grayson Waller, but I'm thinking maybe it's because he just plays so well. But I think Ryback for sure. I looked ahead. Kevin says Hardcore Holly. Call me crazy, but I think Hardcore might be cool. I feel like if you really get on his good side, he could be cool. But I would say Ryback. This might be a touchy subject because of recent news. I think Hogan would have been one of those guys. I feel like Hogan would have been tough to work with personally. Hopefully, I'm wrong, or I guess I was wrong, but I feel like Hogan would have been an answer. Muhammad says, prioritize self care and practice self care. 100%. You nailed it. I agree with you, Kevin. I think the current IC title look is pretty cool. I like it. I dig it. I love the blue. The blue was a great addition. Remember Curtis Axel? Yeah, I remember Curtis Axel. Michael McGillicuddy. Dethroned by Eli says Grayson Waller. Yeah, something about him. I don't know if it's because he plays it very well. I think, I do think that Grayson Waller for sure. Kerry Von Erich? I don't know. I haven't seen much of any kind of criticism towards Kerry Von Erich. Was Hardcore Holly close with Benoit? They were supposed to see each other. I don't know. I don't know if they were close. That, you know, I don't know. I would think so. Being on the roster for a few years there together, I don't know if they were close. Dion says, "Why didn't Becky Hogan sell the table shots?" It's Becky. They gotta make her look strong. I think that she tried. I think she tried, and maybe in her mind, it looked a lot better. But on the playback, those were terrible shots. That matchup, I think, ideally could have gone as well as it should have. But when you look at the table shots and the miscue from the Nikki Bella kick, a lot of people are going to remember the ugly spots and not necessarily the bright spots. I thought there was a good finish. The little trade that they had off towards the end that led into the Lynch pin by Becky Lynch. I really enjoyed the finish, but those little spots there where it was obvious it was a miscommunication, a miscue, or just poor selling on their part, those are probably going to outweigh the great spots there. Will Cena and The Rock still ruin wrestling? I don't think so. They clearly dropped, the Cena heel turn for the better. I don't like. I think in hindsight, the heel turn was a failure experiment. The moment that it happened, it was a monumental, great moment, but the run itself was okay. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't as great as it could have been. In hindsight, they should have just kept him babyface and have him be the Cena that we know, which is why I'm trying to enjoy these last 8 appearances by Cena. The GOAT will no longer be competing in the WWE after this year. Let's just appreciate what we have with him now. But no, I don't think they're going to ruin wrestling. They need to go back to the 2003 title designs. They actually look like championship belts. All of the new ones look like toys, maybe on purpose for toy sales, aesthetic reasons. Your thoughts? 100% agree with you, Dethroned by Eli. Back in the day, those titles were so distinct and so unique. You understood which championship was which championship. You knew that the world title was so prestigious by the way of its design. You knew the Intercontinental Championship was unique based off of the blue oval. You can understand why the Women's Championship looked the way it did, or the Cruiserweight Championship was so cool. There was reasons for it. I think you nailed it on the head that they look like toys. I think right now WWE is a business. There's a reason why their main championships, the WWE title, the world title, the women's world title, the women's WWE title, they all have that big W on it because it's a brand. When they go out to do these media appearances, when a new, champion of any sport wins, they have that commemorative WWE title. And the first thing you notice is the big W plastered on it as a way of a brand deal, as a way to have people recognize, oh, that's the WWE. And it does work in the sense of a toy because you want people to buy the merchandise. Kids are going to go to this show. They're going to ask their parents who are working day and night to get these tickets because, Jesus, they're very expensive for the average consumer. They're working day and night. They want to have their kid be happy, so they're going to buy these titles. That's the problem, is everything is pointed out in the sense of a business. They want people to buy these titles because they do look like toys, because they have the big W plastered onto it. My thoughts, I think it's lazy. Quite frankly, it lacks creativity. But from a business standpoint, it's pretty smart. It's pretty smart. Kevin Nash was not pleased with Becky after the Ozzy Osbourne. Oh, yeah, because also Kelly Osbourne, Ozzy's daughter, was not pleased with that statement as well. Dion says the Phoenix Splash attempt from Seth was fire. I love the Phoenix Splash. Such a cool move. Dion says Cena and Logan match was fairly good aside from a couple spots. I thought personally, from like a nostalgic and a personal level, that might have been my favorite match. I love the Fatal 4-Way matchup, but the Cena-Logan match and the way the crowd, to me, elevates it, I thought that was fantastic. I was a big fan of it. Dion asks, will Rollins and Reigns main event WrestleMania? I think one day we are destined to see that. I'm surprised we haven't seen it just yet, but yeah, I think one-on-one that will happen. Tyler says, I think TKO and WWE ruined John Cena and The Rock plans because on WWE Unreal. I don't know if we're ever going to get a true explanation for what happened there, but I do think TKO is definitely responsible for the cynical and business approach by the WWE. Will Sunday Spark and AJ Lee return? I hope so. I hope so, man. Friday night. Friday night's a big night, so we'll see. We'll tune in, and maybe I'll give my thoughts after that. Tyler says, I think Athena, she's going to reach 1,000 days as the Ring of Honor champion. I mean, she has to. She recently just defeated Mina Shirakawa in the latest Ring of Honor pay-per-view, Death by Dishonor. It has to be, right? Athena's the best thing in Ring of Honor. I don't watch Ring of Honor as religiously. I do keep up with what's going on. But Athena is one of those stars that, yeah, whatever she's doing, I would love to keep up with that. Shout out to Athena. She does great work. Muhammad says, any chance of Cody Rhodes coming back? Absolutely. You can expect Cody Rhodes within the next couple weeks. If it's not going to be Chicago, if it's not this Friday, it's next Friday. But Cody's coming back either this week or next week because they got to build towards WrestlePalooza. You would think he's going to defend that title against Drew McIntyre. So, yeah, Muhammad. I would look forward to this SmackDown or the SmackDown after Muhammad. Cody will be back. Dion says, what titles does Mercedes hold at the moment? I'm curious. There are so many, right? Obviously, the TBS champion, the Rev Pro champion. She has the Owen Hart tournament final. She has... there's a bunch of them, to tell you the truth, and I can't even wrap my brain around. She has 9 championships at that moment. And she has said in the past that she wants to pass the Ultimo Dragons, who had like 10 titles. Iconic picture also of Ultimo Dragon. So we'll see which title is going to be on the docket for her. She is going to be defending that TBS championship against Alex Windsor on Dynamite. I'm looking forward to that matchup as well. But she got too many damn titles, man. Mercedes Moné. Ring of Honor Punk was something else, Muhammad. It's a guilty pleasure of mine of CM Punk and Ring of Honor. What are your thoughts on Jake Hager's situation with Tony Khan? It could come off as both bitter, because Jake Hager obviously wasn't used to his fullest potential with Tony Khan. I think he does come off a little bit bitter at times, but I do think it's fascinating to see what the perception of Tony Khan is of the locker room, especially by those who are no longer with AEW. We've seen in the past people who have done business there, Punk, Hager, even Cody to an extent has been very subliminal about his critiques about AEW, and it all leads to Tony Khan and how he runs the company. Obviously, you and I don't know too much about it because we're not behind the scenes, but you guys know my favorite saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. And to see all these type of criticisms towards Tony and his direction with the company and creative, maybe there's something there. I've always said I feel like what Tony Khan lacks is a solid foundation of veterans around him to help drive the creative process and give him more of an input of how things should be done versus how he would want them to be done. Now, granted, I don't think Tony Khan is doing a failure of a job. I think he does pretty well for the most part. The good stuff is really good. The bad stuff can be bad, but of course that's like anything in any promotion. So I am a fan of Tony Khan. I am a fan of AEW, but the Jake Hager stuff is fascinating to hear, but it does come off a little bit bitter, I think. Dion says, why do they even have 9 women's titles? Like, what the hell? I mean, to be fair, Dion, they're not all AEW. They are from other promotions, like Rev Pro. I believe there's a CMLL involved as well. They do have a few championships there from other promotions. Indie promotions, that is. Congratulations. Yeah, congrats to Cody. Yeah, just had his new daughter with Brandy. Leilani, I believe, was the name. So, congrats to them. Muhammad says, I could see why Cody Rhodes and Punk left AEW. At least during that time. I think nowadays they've really been able to repair the reputation of AEW. But during that time, yeah, I could see why. I understand why they would leave. And again, maybe we'll never really know the full explanation as to why Cody left AEW. Maybe one day, but just, I don't think anytime soon. Wow, guys, that was a quick hour. What a great chat. I appreciate you guys always being able to tune in for these live streams, voice your opinions, share your thoughts, ask your questions, and help drive the conversation that is the J Area Wrestling Show. None of this would be possible without any of you guys. If you want more content, make sure you like the video, comment down below your thoughts on WrestlePalooza, as well as your thoughts on a potential AJ Lee return. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at JAreaPod_. That's at JAreaPod_. On Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Make sure you guys consider subscribing to the channel to take part in these live streams. The only way you're going to be able to participate in these streams is if you are subscribed. And hell, even consider become a member of the channel, a Main Event Mafia member, where you're going to get access to exclusive videos, polls, and posts. Next time we will go live will be Thursday. We'll have our Thursday night stream. I have a little bit of surprise, a little bit blast from the past here on the channel. Can't wait to share that with you guys in the coming days. On Thursday, we will be going live for another edition of the J Area Wrestling Show. Dion, I see you real quick. Says, what happened on Raw tonight? Missed everything. Dion, what's going on, buddy? Gotta tune in. A quick rundown here for Dion, and then we're gonna go off. We got more questions here. Actually, maybe we'll go, let's go a little longer. Let's go a little longer here. Usually we go 60 minutes. We'll go on for another 10 minutes here because these are good questions. Dion, what happened on Raw tonight? So, real quick, obviously the Vision still running ruckus. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed took on the team of LA Knight and Jey Uso. Solid matchup is exactly what you expect. The real news, though, is there was a beatdown following the matchup, and we saw that Jey Uso got beat down by Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Who makes the save? His brother Jimmy. The Usos look like they're back in action. They're probably going to be taking on the tandem of Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. I'm thinking at WrestlePalooza. Another matchup announced for WrestlePalooza will be Io Sky versus Stephanie Vaquer for the vacant World Championship. That one should be a fantastic matchup. You want another fantastic matchup? The IC title was on the line as Dominic Mysterio took on AJ Styles in Paris, France. The crowd was on fire. The action was on fire. And who else was on fire? El Grande Americano, who came out, interfered, cost AJ the matchup. Dominic retains and is riding a wave of momentum as he heads towards Worlds Collide, where he'll be challenging El Hijo del Vikingo for the AAA Mega Championship. Also on the night, we saw Penta and the War Raiders get a victory over the New Day and Grayson Waller. We also saw Finn Balor win a matchup as well. The opening matchup was a tag team matchup between the Kabuki Warriors, who got a win over the Judgment Day. Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, CM Punk. I don't want to talk about it too much. Just go out of your way and watch it. The Seth Rollins and CM Punk stuff, check it out. That's my biggest recommendation. Decent episode of Raw. I think in large part due to the Paris, France crowd. So, Uh, Tyler says, "What's your prediction for the main event for All Out?" Good question. All Out, and to think about it, All Out's only a couple weeks out. They had this little moment where Kenny and Hangman kind of stood across each other, but I just think it's too quick of a turnaround for the world champion to be against Kenny Omega. I don't know yet. There's still a little bit of ways that they could work. I think the picture's gonna be a lot clearer on Wednesday and on Saturday. After this week's of program, I think we certainly will get a clearer picture for what could be the prediction or for what could be the main event of All Out. But I don't know at the moment. But okay, guys, we're gonna go ahead and pull it there. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Again, if you enjoyed the stream, make sure you give the video a like, comment down below, subscribe, take part in these streams, and subscribe to keep up to date with all things pro wrestling. Make sure you have your notification bell on so that you can stay up to date with any time that we go live. We will be going live on Thursday. That's Thursday this week. I believe that's September 4th. We'll be going for a special live stream. I'll be giving more updates in the coming days. I thank you guys for taking this part with me. I do think it would be an awesome treat if you guys would help out with the social medias. Help follow on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Again, you can find them in the top corner at jareapod_. That's at jareapod_, to continue helping this channel grow and ensuring that the J Area becomes even bigger and better than what it already has become thanks to you guys. Again, I want to thank you guys again for the support. Hope to see you on Thursday's stream. Thanks to everybody that took part in tonight's live stream. A lot of fun, a lot of great conversation, and a lot of great talking points. So I want to thank you guys. Everyone be safe. Have a great night. Have a great week. Again, we'll see you on Thursday. Everyone be safe. And I'll see you then.